Love doesn't start with danger. It starts with trust. And trust is the most fragile thing in medicine. This story isn't about how they met. It's about the moment they should have walked away and didn't. Freddie believed rules save lives. Emily believed lives don't wait for rules. They met in a hospital where a patient survived. Against every medical expectation. That should have been a miracle. It wasn't. Because from that moment on, every heartbeat meant a decision. Every decision carried a consequence. And every consequence made love unsafe. Before this ends, someone will cross a line they can't uncross. The question isn't who. It's whether you would have done the same. Would you? Because once you choose love over safety, there's no such thing as going back. Freddie learned early that order creates safety. Clean lines. Clear rules. No surprises. At Cambridge, everything made sense. The buildings. The routines. Even the silence felt disciplined. Freddie liked silence. Silence meant nothing had gone wrong yet. He believed medicine was simple. Follow the protocol. Reduce risk. Avoid mistakes. Because mistakes were how people got hurt. Emily didn't believe in silence. At Oxford, history pressed in from every direction. Old walls. Old stories. Too many lives that didn't follow the rules. Emily learned to listen instead. To breath patterns. To tremors in the voice. To the moment fear arrives before the monitor reacts. She believed medicine was human. Unpredictable. Urgent. And sometimes, rules arrived too late. They weren't supposed to meet. Different universities. Different systems. Different ways of thinking. But the UK medical excursion didn't care about differences. It sent students where they were needed. Not where they were comfortable. A mobile unit. An understaffed hospital. A patient who didn't fit the textbook. Freddie noticed the numbers first. Vitals drifting. Margins narrowing. Emily noticed the eyes. The panic behind them. The silent plea no chart could record. Freddie waited for authorization. Emily didn't. She moved before anyone stopped her. Before anyone agreed. The room held its breath. The patient lived. No explanation. No protocol justification. Just a pulse that shouldn't have been there. Freddie stared at the monitor. Emily stared at the patient. Neither looked at each other. Not yet. Later, someone called it luck. Someone else called it instinct. No one called it what it was. A warning. They finally spoke in the corridor. Not about names. Not about universities. About the decision. Freddie asked why she acted so fast. Emily asked why he hesitated. Neither liked the answer. And somehow, that's what made them look again. Because when two people disagree about life and death, and neither backs down, something dangerous begins. Before they parted, Emily said something quietly. If I had waited, he would have died. Freddie didn't respond. But later, alone, he checked the charts again. And again. And again. The numbers didn't lie. But they didn't explain the truth either. That night, Freddie didn't sleep. And Emily didn't apologize. They would meet again. Not because they planned to. But because once you're part of a moment like that, it doesn't let you go. And without realizing it. Before love had a name. Before trust existed. Their story crossed its first line. The unsafe one. They didn't call it a relationship. Relationships implied safety. This wasn't that. It started with proximity. Shared rotations. Shared exhaustion. Shared moments that felt too intense to name. They argued more than they agreed. And somehow, that kept them close. Freddie noticed patterns. Emily noticed people. In emergency wards across London. Freddie tracked vitals, protocols, margins for error. Emily tracked fear. Pain disguised as calm. Silence where symptoms should have been. Patients trusted her instantly. That unsettled him. They moved through the UK like shadows. Hospitals. Clinics. Temporary units. On night trains. They sat across from each other, too tired to pretend distance still existed. The country blurred past the windows. Nothing slowed down. At Brighton, the sea gave them a pause. Wind. Salt. A horizon that didn't demand decisions. For a moment, Freddie felt safe. That was his mistake. Emily spoke about patience the way people talk about family. With attachment. With guilt. Freddie spoke about outcomes. Survival rates. Statistical success. They were both right. And that was the problem. During a trauma shift, Emily made another call. Early. Decisive. Unapproved. The patient lived. Again. The senior doctor nodded. Then said nothing. Freddie wrote it down anyway. Someone pulled Freddie aside later. Not to accuse. Not to explain. Just a warning. Be careful, they said. Some people save lives by cutting corners. They didn't say Emily's name. They didn't need to. Freddie started checking records at night. Not because he didn't trust her. Because he trusted her too much. That scared him. Emily never asked what he was looking for. She already knew. In the Lake District, isolation made honesty louder. No monitors. No supervisors. Just responsibility. Emily admitted she hated waiting. Waiting meant watching someone slip away. Freddie admitted he feared acting too soon. Acting too soon meant becoming the reason someone didn't recover. They stared at each other. Neither moved. That night, something shifted. Not love. Dependency. Emily's stories didn't always align. Dates blurred. Placements overlapped. A hospital that no longer existed under that name. Freddie noticed. He didn't ask. Yet. Then came the patient who shouldn't have survived. Rural clinic. Limited equipment. No backup. Emily didn't hesitate. Freddie didn't stop her. The patient lived. The silence afterward was heavier than relief. Freddie realized something then. Emily didn't break rules impulsively. She broke them confidently. As if she'd practiced. Later, alone, Freddie reviewed her history. One case stood out. A death. Officially unavoidable. Unofficially, complicated. The report was clean. Too clean. When Freddie looked at Emily after that, he saw two versions of her. The one who saved lives. And the one who might have rewritten the truth. He didn't confront her. Because part of him didn't want to know which version was real. Emily noticed the distance. She asked one question. Do you trust me? Freddie paused too long. That was enough. Love didn't collapse then. It sharpened. Because now, every touch carried suspicion. Every silence felt deliberate. And every decision risked exposure. They were still saving lives. But something else was bleeding out. And neither of them realized. They were already past the point where walking away was an option. Because when love survives doubt, it doesn't become stronger. It becomes unsafe. It always comes down to a moment. Not the loud ones. Not the dramatic ones. The quiet moment. Where you realize there's no safe choice left. The call came just before dawn. Rural rotation. Limited staff. One patient crashing fast. Freddie recognized the signs immediately. Emily recognized the ending. The protocol was clear. So was the time they didn't have. Freddie reached for the chart. Emily reached for the patient. They didn't look at each other. They already knew what the other was thinking. This time, Freddie spoke. Wait. Emily didn't. She never had. The intervention was risky. Unapproved. Familiar. The room held still. The monitor screamed. Then. A rhythm. The patient stabilized. Again. No one celebrated. They all felt it. This wasn't a victory. It was a reckoning. Later, alone, Freddie confronted the file. The old case. The death. The altered report. The signatures didn't match. The timing didn't align. Someone had helped Emily. Or she'd learned how to help herself. Freddie realized the truth then. Emily wasn't reckless. She was certain. And certainty is the most dangerous thing in medicine. He asked her one question. Did you change the report? Emily didn't answer immediately. She watched the patient breathe. Then she said, "They're alive." That was her justification. That was her confession. Freddie understood the choice in front of him. Report her. End her career. Restore the rules. Protect her. Erase the line he'd spent his life defending. Emily didn't beg. She didn't threaten. She only said one thing. Next time. I won't hesitate. That was when Freddie realized. The decision had already been made. Not by her. By him. The final patient coded without warning. No time. No committee. No guidance. Emily moved. And this time, Freddie moved with her. The intervention worked. The patient lived. So did the lie. The report was filed. Clean. Precise. Cambridge perfect. Emily watched him sign it. She didn't smile. She knew what it cost. They didn't speak after that. Not because there was nothing to say. Because everything had already been said. Freddie left the program early. Emily stayed. They never met again. Years later, Freddie would still wake up at night. Not from guilt. From certainty. Because he finally understood the truth. Love didn't make them reckless. Love made them confident. And confidence is where safety ends. This wasn't a love story. It was a warning. So tell me, if you were there, watching a life fade, knowing the rules would be too slow, would you have stopped her? Or would you have signed the report too? Because once you choose love over safety, everything after that is unsafe.